Good day and welcome to the second episode of the second season of Game Time with Marco. Thank you for joining us. My name is Marco Ndlovu. Thank you for your views, opinions, and as well as suggestions in the previous edition that we had with the former Brave Warriors captain Ronald Kechiere Stiga, as he is commonly known, the African Stars player, who came and gave us a bit of some education on how you can balance your playing time as well as your study time. Today, once again, we have another action-packed, loaded episode, and with me is a former footballer, a former journalist, a father, an uncle, a mentor. I'll run out of superlatives to describe him. His name is Carlos CK Kambaekua. He will be shooting from the hip from our studios here at New Era. CK, it's been a long time coming.
Great, and thanks for having me here.
No, I'm doing fine. I said I'll run out of superlatives to describe you. Let me give you the opportunity just to tell us about yourself. Who is CK? Where were you born? Where did you grow up? And we take it from there.
Well, I was born in Uganda. Maybe a lot of people don't know. I was born on the same day, same month, and same year as Albert Chiro, who is the elder brother of Bimbo Chiro. He was a great player, probably the best ever centre back to have ever played football in this country.
Albert.
Yes, and on top of that we are blood cousins. So, but I actually grew up in Windhoek. Although I was born in Uganda, I grew up in Windhoek's old location, and it was quite tough there. We started playing football. I was not really too much into football. We played football for the first couple of years. Well, we were young, probably 9 years old there, and then something terrible happened that still worries me up to this day. As youngsters, we were playing football there. There was a school field next to our house, and then we had one guy who came from a village. He was a bit older than us, but he was in the same class as us. But you know, the guys would come from village.
Yeah.
They start school a little bit late.
Yes.
And we didn't like the guy, but he was a bully. He was stronger than us, so because we were more wiser, and you know, the guys who came from the village, they're trying now to fit into the system. Mm-hmm. But we actually, you know, in those days, if you're from the village, you describe a muhu, you know, somebody, you need some refinement, some kind of refinement, you know. Yeah. So this guy, something happened, and they kicked the guy in the abdomen, and dead.
He died?
The guy died there.
During a football match?
Yes, during a football match. The guy died. It was 1967, I will never forget that. And we were terrified. And the cops came, and you know, we were very scared of cops. Even when you see a police van, you have to run.
Where's it was under apartheid?
Aye, my friend. It was happening here at Auckland Park. This is where that was the venue location. Uh-huh. So then we stopped playing football because we couldn't even look at the side of that field. Even passing through that field, going to the shop or somewhere else, we have to take other cuts. Because that thing was haunting us. We were haunted by that.
You were not cancelled after that?
No, we were not cancelled. No, there were no such things. I mean, there were no such things there. So, for a long time, we stopped playing. A lot of us, many of us, then the next year we came to Katutura. And so it's a new environment. So the site of that field was no longer there. We said, no, we don't want to play football. So when we came here, again, it was another adjustment. So we found these guys in Katutura now, they felt a little bit more civilized than us because we came from old location with bucket toilets and all these things, a lot of things. And these guys, they could speak nice Afrikaans, you know. Mm-hmm. They were now a little bit upgraded. Mm-hmm. So, but we fit in because we were in the majority, so there was no way they could have bullied us.
Yeah. In terms of school, where did you school? Where did you attend your primary and secondary schools?
I schooled here, but actually I studied music.
Okay.
I studied music. That was actually my main subject that I did. I went, and I hate to say these things when people say, no, I was the first. The people are very proud of saying that I was the first black guy to be admitted to the Conservatorium of Music, where I went to study classical guitar and theory in music. In my own country, where I was actually not allowed to, and I have to wangle my way there, I have to go to the Paramount Chief of Herero to get permission to study music. It's not something that I'm really very proud of, but I mean, I managed to do that. But in your own country, you cannot say because you have been admitted to do something.
So you were the first black student in that school?
Yes.
Okay. Music, we'll talk about your music journey later on. And then after school, when did now football, the football bug bite you?
There was a team, there was nothing else to do in those days, so football was the only recreational kind of activity where we could get involved. So there was a team, it was established by a South African guy. His name was Robert Nyungula. He was living in Silvergotas there. They came to build Katutura, they were still building. Yeah. So South Africans love football, so this guy established a team. He was not a good player, but he was okay. He was not actually playing. He played a bit there, but he didn't have the skill. So he established a team. Within a location in those days, so a lot of things were done along tribal or ethnic lines. So within a rural location, the only team was African Stars. So African Stars had something like 3 teams, 2 or 3 teams, first team, second team, and third team. And it was not all about talent. It was all about the guys who have been there. They could not be removed, even if they don't have the talent and so on. So we have to come up with something else. So this guy, when he established this team, we started playing for this team. It was many of us, Oscar Mango and all these guys who played for Bandung Defenders, and then the team broke up. When they broke up, there was another team that was established called Flames, guys who came from Tsumeb or Kurufondane, Serrero guys. They established a team there. So those guys who could not play for African Stars first team, they were very good players, young players. So the majority of them joined Flames. So Flames had a very, very good team.
So they would challenge African Stars?
Yes, they challenged African Stars. They became very strong, and the good thing, they recruited players from other ethnic tribes. So, but unfortunately that team went to Zimbabwe in 1978. They took an unauthorized tour, but that was the second year after the amalgamation of Misri's football. So, whites were very strict in those things. You say you went on an unauthorized tour, so the team was kicked out of football. But during that time, I think I stopped playing football because I had to concentrate on music, because we had a band and we were touring around the country. So music, for me, music was always my first love. And I tell you how I got in love with music. After school, we were delivering newspapers at John Maynard. The Allgemeine Zeitung and the Windhoek Advertiser. My tour was tour 6. I was doing the Auslandplatz area and a little bit of Triple J. And where this SME band was, there was a club there underneath there, in the basement, the nightclub there. And as I was delivering newspapers there, I saw there was a band rehearsing there, man. And I was one hot guy who was camouflaged, in army uniform.
White guy?
White guy. And the guy was hot on the guitar. And that guy hypnotized me. I said, nah, man, I want to play guitar, man. That's where my interest came. And only for me to find out in later years that this guy was Trevor Robin. Trevor Robin is the guy, they had a band called Robert in South Africa. Then he went to America, he was playing for years. They played the hit tune, Owner of the Lonely Heart. He's a top hot guitarist. So he's actually the guy who inspired me to get into music.
And you didn't know him?
I didn't know him, only later years. I find out that guy, when we were talking, in music was not like football or any other. Music was just something different. Even during the time of apartheid, we used to mix with white guys. We used to mix and talk, because in music there's no jealousy. In football, people are jealous of each other, teams are jealous of each other. In music there's no enemies. We were all, because I will come to you, man, how do you play that chord, man? That man, show me, man, that diminished chord and what. And we were happy to pass our knowledge over to each other. So we mingled with these guys, and it's only when I found out we were talking about that band, that army guy that was rehearsing with that band. The guys told me, no, it was Trevor Robin. Oh, I didn't know that. But coming back to football, and then while I was playing music, I had a friend of mine, Ben Wanivi, the late Ben Wanivi. They just established a team called Hungry Lions. They were playing in the 2nd division. And he asked me, man, you were a good player, man. Why don't you come and help us out? We need a striker. So I went in there. And I never trained with the team. I never trained.
You would come and
play in weekends when I'm free. Or go and play. And I was scoring goals. I mean, I was very,
So Hungry Lions was your first team?
Was my first team. But in
which division are they playing then?
We're playing in the Katutura, the Central First Division, but you see the blacks at their own league.
Yeah.
And the whites at their own league.
Yes, of course.
So we played there. But during holidays, so sometimes we'll go back to Okanja, visit my family, because even up to now my family is still in Okanja. So I played for a team called Black Beauty Chiefs there.
Black Beauty Chiefs,
I played there, Oscar Mango, Marino Kandonga, Albert Chiro, all played for that team. It was a very good team. And then I played for Hungry Lions, and because the majority of my homeboys were playing for African Stars. Now African Stars became very strong. So I went to African Stars. I played with African Stars for 2 seasons, but then the competition became very tough. And to be quite honest, I was not a bad player. I'm telling you, I mean, I could strike the ball fairly well with both feet. I'm not blowing my own trumpet. But then I was not somebody, I was not fit, to be quite honest. I was never fit.
Because you're not training?
I was not training properly. I was with music, and I was more into music. So football for me was secondary. But during that time, because I'm a very keen reader, I developed an interest in writing, in sports writing. So I got a job as a part-time job, and I was working, but I got a job at the Venue Advertiser. I was writing, but I wrote under an assumed name. Because if you have a job here, you cannot go and do some freelance work somewhere else. So I started writing for the English newspaper, writing sports, football actually, not like cricket and other things. I was just writing about football. And then I was recruited by NBC, which was the Southwest Africa Broadcasting Corporation.
For radio?
Radio, but not to work in the music department. As a music compiler. But while I was there as a music compiler, because I always wanted to become a sports journalist. It's not something that came by chance. This thing was in me, and I was a keen reader, and I was eager, and I was very passionate about writing sports. So then I was transferred. There was a position, I applied for a position as a sports journalist, as a sports producer. Now the TV, you have to do radio and TV and everything. So I moved up the ranks up to the position of a sports editor, executive producer. And there, and I won multiple awards, Golden Pen Awards, in the print media, electronic. So that was now before I came to print. And I also won a couple of multiple Golden Pen Awards. But coming to football, it was really, it was a challenge playing football in those days. The challenge came to traveling. You go and play in a tournament, let's say in a Chuarong or Chumab. You travel with a van. So we not have the luxury of traveling in buses. We slept in classrooms. Ate bread, dry bread, maybe with oros. It was tough.
Okay.
It was very tough.
Now, when you were playing for Hungry Lions and African Stars, how was the competition in terms of football that time compared to now? How the standards? What would you say the standards were?
No, you can't compare the standards of those days to the current standard. There's no football.
Nowadays?
No, there's no football.
Explain to us.
I mean, even the guys that are playing for the Brave Warriors now, 90 or 80% of them wouldn't have played even in the second teams during our time. I'm serious.
No, CK.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. I mean, I look at the talent of these guys. Maybe it's the coaches, but I don't see any talent. The last guy I really enjoyed watching or paying money was Quinton Jacobs and Patrick Jacker. I mean, we want to see footballers, guys that can take the game by the scruff of the neck. And you don't see those kind of players anymore. There's no skill, a player that will take 3-4 defenders and players that can score goals outside the box or score from set pieces. I mean, great headers or whatever, just steps in. The football has died. There is no beauty in football anymore. And I think it's got more to do with coaches, modern coaching, where you program players. You're not supposed to travel, don't just stay there on the line. Don't move inside and all these things. Your program, people are not allowed to unleash their full potential.
It's now robots.
It's no robots, it's robotic. Football is still robotic. There's no For me, I don't enjoy watching football anymore. I'm being serious. Why a guy like Teenage Yabo, the late Tigers midfielder?
Yeah.
I mean, those guys will make you love football. And I also like players because I was not much into guys who can dribble, but who had good dribblers with Norris Gorasep. But then I also like a guy like Jason Peters, a guy from Blue Waters. He passed away 2-3 years ago. May his soul continue to rest in peace. We had a guy like Mekon Topias. These guys were good passers of the ball, and I like that kind of football. Get the ball, lay it off space, and attack space. And that's the way I want football to be played. Simple as it, but people make football very difficult. So they cannot even string 5 passes together, beautiful passes. You don't see that.
Are you saying that the current type of players, had they played during your days and we had the Brave Warriors those years, would you say that they would not have qualified?
Brave Warriors would have, our guys would have qualified for the World Cup. That team that we had, Doug Hartley, Oscar Mengo, Carlos Stefanes, Albert Chiro, Gibbs Dawson. We had great players.
They would have qualified for the World Cup.
No, we had great players. I have no doubt about it. We had great goalkeepers. That team, there was no weaknesses in that team. You look from the back. I mean, we had a guy like Mendoza Pondoka. He was a short guy, centre back, but was very good in the air, calculated, comfortable, ball control, fast, and even he had everything. Those are guys, when you watch even English football, you say, but this guy is not Mendoza. I mean, that guy was probably at the same level as Van Dijk, man. With very good players, very talented players, and the guys were also committed. We had good players. I'm telling you, the majority of these guys, when you watch them, there are some people I'm watching that, is this guy a footballer? The guy is playing in the Premier League. And you're wondering, how is it that this guy is playing in the Premier League? With no ball skills, a guy cannot control a ball. It takes 3-4 touches before he brings that ball under control.
And nowadays they even play on proper grass and
everything is proper. Nutrition, everything is proper. I mean, look, in those days, even when you pass the ball, it was not like these grass cutters because the fields were uneven.
Yeah.
So you cannot pass the ball on the ground because the trajectory of the ball will
change.
Exactly. So it was totally different as opposed, to what is happening now. The guys have got everything, but I think we just lack the talent and the coaching methods as well. I mean, this team of programming players is not working out. I think black people, or black players, black athletes have natural talent. You must allow them to unleash their full potential. Go there and play your game. Obviously, there has to be discipline and order. You cannot just go and dribble in certain areas. But if you have the confidence of doing that, you can do it. Allow the players to do whatever they can.
Okay, besides the coaching now, what else do you think is stifling Namibian talent?
I've said a little bit and thought about it. And you see, we don't have structures. We have too many academies, football academies, and you really don't know what it brings out of. Because if you look at other teams, you have academies. These players are groomed within a system. They play according to a certain system, and once they reach a certain level, they go to some other teams. Now you tell me a talented kid who lives in Havana or Okanja Park, he won't afford to come and join any academy. They need money. So we have to introduce hard and fast rules to compel these academies to go and identify talent. And the other problem that I've noticed as well, within sports, many people have misplaced perception between talent and transformation. Talent is about giving. It's development. It's the identification of talent. But transformation is about giving somebody a chance who would otherwise not have that chance to unleash their full potential. So these two, we have to divorce these two things, transformation and development. And this is the thing that is lacking. We have so many football academies, but I've not seen one player say, no, that top player comes from such and such an academy. I've not seen them. I've not seen them.
Very true.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one player who came through an academy right now. I can't identify one. But then, during your school days, at school, were you playing football? And what is the difference now, school football now and school football then?
Yeah, the schools were very strong. I mean, you look at Agostino, you look at Gilbert, they used to have knockout tournaments. Those teams were actually, they were stronger than the location teams. The school teams, they were more stronger. That's why you see Black Africa.
Yes.
You know, they had a history of recruiting their players from Dibra. And because Dibra, they had the coach, Mr. Willem Hans. This guy, you know, it was kind of a Catholic school. And he always went to Germany for coaching courses, so the coaching was different. So they were always a notch ahead of the other players. So these players, they were not playing football actually like other. They had a different way of playing football because they were trained in proper structures on how to play football. So the school football was very, very strong. Even the white schools as well, they had very good players, but the problem with whites, once they're done with school, they go to Germany, especially Germans, you know that.
Yeah. We have a large community of them, yeah.
If you go to most of the German schools, I mean, football is their number one sport. The Germans love football.
Yeah.
But they go to Germany, once they come back, they are into their father's businesses, or they don't play football, they start playing social football.
It's not even only on football.
We had strong white teams, SKW and Remles. These teams were very strong, and Sparta in Wolfsburg, was a Portuguese team. So, but again, I wouldn't say they have lost interest, but it's because of the system. The whites, when they're 20, 22, they're lost to football. They only play football while they're still at school.
But it's not only football, it's netball as well. I've seen it in netball, I've seen it in athletics. To a certain extent, I've seen it also in rugby. We have these young talented boys, high school, they play, and then they disappear. But that's a topic for another day. Now, school football nowadays, I'm sure you've followed it. I can also attest it has lost its meaning. It's almost non-existent.
It's because there's no structure. A couple of years ago, there was a league there, I think it was a Coca-Cola league or something,
yes.
The netball as well. That's fine. But these tournaments that are just played for one season, it's like the Namibian Newspaper Cup. For heaven's sake, somebody wants to tell me that's a development tournament. I'm yet to be convinced. Development for me is a continuous thing where these players next year they will play or whatever. You play 1 year, then after 12 months you win. How do you development? How do you do development? The system is not right. You cannot call that a development program.
So you would rather have the Coca-Cola Cup playing from maybe January or February until November?
Yeah, a league. There should be a league setup or something like that. But not one-off tournament. Cannot be a development program. One-off tournament a year. You call that a development program? No. How do you develop it?
All right. Now, administration-wise, at school level, what is lacking? Is it that the teachers are not trained properly? Is it that the government is not taking sports seriously by actually making time during the curriculum to say we are going to have sports every day in the afternoon? What is lacking, administrative-wise?
It's a very good question, Marco, but I don't know why we always talk about government. There are structures in place. You have the NSSU, which is the arm of school sports, which falls under government, which falls under the Namibian Sports Commission. So, what is the role of the NSSU? That's the first question that we should ask. Why is school sports struggling? Why is it no longer the same? Even athletics. That's an umbrella body that is supposed to shepherd all the sports codes. But we don't see, I mean, just recently, the other day, we had a team here that went to South Africa to a tournament that was non-existent. You remember that?
Yes.
So these things, how do these things happen? So it tells you that something is not right within our system.
Especially in this digital age.
Exactly. I mean, a team went to South Africa with kids. You take kids here.
And some parents actually drove.
Yeah, they drove to watch their kids. Come there now. I mean, it just tells you that our sport is in ICU. It's not only football. I mean, a lot of things. And like you said, maybe we might come back and say, man, those people who are supposed to supervise things. I mean, there should be. Look, if you set up structures, so somebody says, okay, fine, there should be time frames. Within 6 months, we want to see this kind of improvement. We want to see this and this, and these are not happening. So some people are just not doing their job. And when we keep on blaming who and when, the system is not working.
All right, let's come back now to your journey into music. Take us through that journey into music. You said it started when you were delivering a newspaper, you saw a guy playing guitar, mesmerized you, and you said, I wanted to do that. You become the first black kid to go to a certain school which teaches music. How was it there, being the only black student?
It was tough because I was a bit older than the other guys.
Students,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. To the extent that some whites threatened to take their kids out of school if I'm allowed to sit in classrooms with them. So to the extent that I still remember that guy. His name was Dietrich Wagner. He was an Austrian. So he offered to teach me at his house. He had a house there. His residence was in Eros. So I would go to his Eros in the afternoons to take classes there. Because I was literally expelled because there were other whites. It was actually during the time when apartheid was slightly abolished. Not entirely, but the apartheid laws were no longer in place. But whites, some of them still dug their heels and said, no, we will not allow our children to sit in the same classroom with black people.
Yeah.
So it was tough. But music taught me a lot. It shaped me as a person, to be quite honest. I wouldn't be the person
that you are
now if it was not for music. It exposed you to a number of things culturally, and you look at the balkanizing aspects of institutionalized tribalism. So luckily I grew up in a village which was more cultural, diverse cultures, and so tribalism for me is I hate tribalism. I hate anything that is done along tribal arrangements. So, and I really don't understand why people have to look at your race or your tribe before they can judge who you are. But music is not like that. We played with all kind of people from all walks of life. Even with white people, we never had problems with white people. In the musical space where we were, we never had problem with white people. And I tell you what, we had this band called the Baronages. We brought in some guys from Cape Town, colored guys, played together. We were touring around the country. And then later on, people grow, we outgrow each other. So some of the guys went back to Cape Town, others got married and left music. And I think in 1984 we formed a band. We were also the first multiracial music group with white guys. We were 3 white guys, 3 black guys. And what happened, we were fronting a band called Hotline. PJ Powers and Hotline. They came from South Africa. So the 3-legged tour. So the first show was here, the Commercial Field. The second one was in Ogwediva at the Moshipadega Hall. The third one was in, I think it was the Jan Wolken Stadium in Walvis Bay. Now the second show, and let me tell you what happened. We played in Ogwediva. And it was something on a Tuesday night. There were around about 100 camouflage soldiers, South African, white guys. They came for the show with their uniforms. Around about 100. It was packed to rafters. So we mingled. I mean, the guys were smoking Kanya and everything, the wheat with the band guys. They were fine. The guys were having a nice time. And then 12 o'clock they have to go because of the kefu. They left. And we stayed behind. We played until 2 o'clock. And where we slept, the house was not too far away from there. It was something like maybe 40 meters. 4 o'clock, a bomb exploded underneath the stage where we were playing.
And then you go, which one was your first gig? Was it television, was it radio, or was it print?
It was radio.
Radio? Okay. Yeah. I also started on radio. Yeah. And then you transitioned to...
Radio is a bit bad because you're alone there. Television, you start, when you start shivering a little bit, I mean, it's normal. But I'm getting used to that. Even when I come and sit here, I'm no longer having butterflies running in my belly. Yeah. You get used to that. But radio, you're alone there. But it's always the first time. Sometimes you're excited, but you make mistakes that you later when you say, man, I shouldn't have made that mistake. But you just have to keep going, improving, because if you don't make mistakes, you're not going to improve.
Yeah,
there are mistakes.
We learn through mistakes.
Yeah.
What would you say to upcoming journalists? You are a multiple award-winning journalist on print, or radio, and TV. What would you say? What would be your lessons? Because nowadays, it's so many things that are happening in journalism. You know, you have to be a multimedia journalist for you to fit in the system. What would you say to a young journalist that is upcoming?
It's not only about passion. You must have the talent as well. Talent and passion and hard work and sacrifices goes hand in glove. Now, you must also have to develop your own style of writing. When people read your articles, they must know now this is Marco, man.
Yeah.
And a certain style with a little bit of humor as well. It should be heart and also a bit of humor. People should look forward. Say, no, if they see your byline there, say, no, I want to read this article. So you must find a way to get into the hearts of people. Obviously, in journalism, you're also going to make a lot of enemies. People don't like. People want to read things that are right and good about them, even if you are right. But you can also not say, but I cannot write something. You don't have to go out and write badly about people. You just expose the truth. And the other thing that I've learned in journalism, this thing of we could not get response from this person, and that's nonsense. That thing should stop. If a person is not available, don't rush to run the story. Get the story done from both sides, because I can write the story and tomorrow you can make a response. The person will respond, and the person will read the paper today might have the chance to read that newspaper and then to hear the side of the other person.
Yeah.
So that article must be in one. It shouldn't be in two different articles. That's a very important aspect of journalism.
How do you now take criticism? In Namibia, it's tough being a journalist in Namibia. You're always accused of all these things. In football, for example, you're accused of belonging to this camp and that camp. Same with boxing, you're accused of belonging to that camp and this camp. In cricket, there's also issues that you'll be accused of. Rugby is the same thing as well.
It's good that you talk about cricket. I had a lot of fights with cricket. You know, it was all about transformation.
How did you take the criticism?
I'm used to that. As long as I know in my heart, I will never go out and write untruth. I'll always try to get to the bottom of the truth. And I had the same stories with cricket Namibia, where they had issues with transformation. The same thing when you talk about development and transformation. And when I write articles, I don't just want to write articles and everybody read about it. There should be an impact.
Yeah.
There should be action taken. To the extent that MTC took action and they were compiled to introduce quotas. So I was happy for that. I was happy for that because many of these sports codes, they get away with murder. They do things, I mean, you look at bowls and all other these funny sports codes. When the sports commission started saying, no, we want to see a bit of color with the team. I remember I travel a lot with the national team on AUKUS gatherings. Yeah. When we go to Manchester or somewhere else and then the team is, let's say 80% of the team is white. And the black guys were teaching us, are you guys coming from Europe or what? They said, no, Namibia, where's Namibia? Is it Europe or what? So it's in Africa. That's why is the team white. So you can't explain. But then now you find these guys that are playing bowls. Yeah. Now the sports commission demanded there should be some black guys there as well. You know what these guys go do? And take the driver of the gardener, buy him a suit, so he's one of the team members. He said, no, Tobias, you just go with us, it's fine. The guy's flying, it's fine, he's happy with that. Yeah. He said, these are the things that are picked up, things that were happening. This guy, asked the guy, so can you play balls, and ask him about the dynamics and whatever, the rules. The guy just laughing. He said, no, they just brought me along, and just said, so I can come along. So these are the tricks that the people have been using.
Yeah, I asked you about the accusations of belonging to camps. Have you ever belonged to a camp?
No. I believe in fairness. I believe in fairness. The same thing what happened, I was accused of belonging to the Kauta camp during the time of this, when the football came to a standstill. Yeah. And my point was, NPL was expelled without a hearing. You don't expel people without a hearing. Give them a fair chance to state their case. You don't do that. And I will do it with anybody, and I've done it before, even with those very same people that accuse me of belonging to a camp. Give everybody a chance. You don't just expel people without a hearing. You don't do that. You don't do that.
All right, and then now looking at it now, in terms of our football, I know your love is football. In terms of our football, where we are right now, the past 7 to 10 years have been tough. Well, what has been your take on that?
I think we have too much politics, and you know what I've noticed in Namibia is people don't go for quality anymore. It's popularity. Popularity is more about who has more money, who's my kin, and all these things. I mean, we're driven by, and we don't look at the bigger picture. It's the thing that it's the black and white thinking. If you are not for me, then you are against me. We don't consider the option of neutrality. So people are too much tribally attached to and emotionally attached to certain things. Even if somebody does something wrong, that's because it's from your tribe, that's because it's from your club, and you don't want to hear any criticism about it, which is wrong. We're not going to go anywhere as long as we attach everything to tribalism and we attach our emotional to, I mean, all those petty things. We don't look at the bigger picture. We don't analyze things in a proper, mature manner.
Your beloved Brave Warriors, what is your take on them?
Look, I look at things in many ways. We gave people expectations by reaching the knockout stages of the AFCON. I mean, in the first place, we had no business qualifying for the AFCON.
What do you mean we had no business?
I mean, we were not playing football for a very long time. We had a change of coaches. We've just started playing football. We didn't have a league for 2 years. And suddenly now we qualify. Normally we qualified after every 10 years, with a cycle of every 10 years. Now it was only after 4 years or something like that we qualified. We go there, we have never won a match at the AFCON. We won a match and we beat Tunisia, top ranked country. And then we played against Mali.
Yes, we drew with Mali.
We drew with Mali, top ranked country. And then we went through to the knockout stages. It never happened. So I think these performances gave us a false hope, sense of hope. And we were expecting a lot of things, and then there was this issue of Awilo, you know, and then obviously the people that wanted Awilo in the team, they belong to a certain team, he's a player of a certain team, so they don't want to associate themselves with the Brave Warriors just because of one of their players is not in the team. That kind of, you know, attitudes and all these things, how do we get around these things? I mean, let us be honest as well. So there were a lot of doubt. They put pressure on the guy now. You must bring in such and such a player. You're the coach. I mean, I don't blame a coach. You are the one who, I mean, you obviously don't want to put your head on the block.
Yeah.
You want to play with the players that you know that can probably
deliver for you. Yeah.
So there's too much pressure on Colin, and the matches are also coming in thick and fast as well. And the other fact is we are playing outside the country. Those traveling, it's not only just because we are playing away from home. There are a number of factors in that. I mean, players are not at home. The environment is different. Everything is different. So psychologically, these things works on players as well. You're not playing at home. You're just playing outside. It's not about defense, but there is the psychological effect to that. And it's not we are losing by big margins of, I mean, we're losing against top countries. I'm not saying we should lose, but for me, I don't think there's more what Colin can do. As a coach, I think he has reached the ceiling. He's done us proud by qualifying and winning a match and drawing a match and going to the knockout stages. I think he's done his bit, but I wouldn't say we must fire the guy, even if you fire him now, even if you bring any other coach. I don't think there's a lot of things to be changed. Maybe, I don't know, but because it's the same team. It's the same team. I don't know how they will change the things. Yeah. So that's another bone of contention.
Yeah. In terms of playing outside of the country, What is your feeling around that issue of CAF saying stadiums should look like this, even for countries whose GDP or whose economy is not as big as others? What is your take around that whole situation?
I think CAF is exaggerating a little bit. I mean, it's all about playing football as long as the pitch is okay, the surface is fine. It's where football is played.
But they will argue and say the safety of the
in
people.
The dressing rooms or whatever. The dressing rooms are not up to standards and all these things. You need air conditioners and all these things. I mean, that's absolute rubbish, in my opinion. So as long as the pitch is fine, the measurement of the pitch is fine, everything is fine. So the other things, really, our facilities is not really that bad. I mean, I've seen bad pitches. I mean, I went to Djibouti. When some other countries, really, even in Liberia, we have seen funny things there. But okay, CAF is trying to, but I think they are a bit harsh. They are a little bit too harsh.
And what would be your advice now to government or municipalities or private individuals in terms of investing in making sure that we have a stadium?
Look, for us, it's not like building new stadiums, constructing new stadiums. We have stadiums, I mean, existing facilities. We just need to upgrade them. And now you hear that the tender for the stadium, to upgrade the stadium, there were issues with the tender. It's almost a year now.
More than 1 year, actually. Yeah.
Bureaucracy, yes. And if you look at the Katutura Stadium, I mean, I've read 10 articles about the Katutura Stadium, the way it was constructed from the beginning of, even if you look at the main stand, if you look at the roof there, the shade here, it's half. The roof is half there. You're sitting down there and there's rain there, you're not going to survive. That stadium, I mean, it was 40 million that went into that stadium, and I don't think that the whole money went to the stadium. Something fishy happened there. People need to investigate these things. We cannot just always say, no, let's start another project, let's start this. A lot of wrong things. There were no football people involved with the construction of that field. How do you build a stadium and you don't involve football people? That's where it starts. And the same things is going to happen now. That's why that stadium has not been constructed, but I mean upgraded.
Upgraded, yeah.
Because football people are not involved. Why don't you involve football people?
Okay, good question. Why are we not involving football people? Let's talk about the book. You're an author as well. You have written a book, The Untold Stories of Namibian Football. I've had the pleasure to go through the book, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not going to discuss anything in the book. Tell us the book. How did the idea of you writing the book come about?
You know, the late President, Dr. CK Kambaekua, we were very good friends. He took a liking to me whenever we met. He said, there's a man who writes good English and had a very good knowledge of Namibian football. Because we will discuss about the old guys that he played with. I knew him, I watched them.
Yeah.
And he said, you have a very good knowledge about Namibian football. Why don't you write a book about it? I said, no, I will write a book once I retired. And it was always, whenever we met, he said, when are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book about Namibian football? And it was not only him, a lot of other people were saying, but you have a lot of knowledge about the history of Namibian football.
Yeah.
Why don't you write a book? I said, okay, that's fine. Let me give it a try. And I started writing this book. I think it was in 2020. I think that's when I started writing the book. And then there was a COVID thing. There was a break there in the COVID time. And then I was also struggling to get photos. Because the good thing about that book is each and every chapter has a corresponding photo. If I say Marco played football, I'll show you a photo of Marco with a caption. It was also not easy to get the names of these players in the photos. All photos, a lot of people have died, others suffering from a loss of memory. So those were the difficulties finding these photos. But the book is done and dusted. It's known. Let's go to printing now. And because it's Hage's legacy. I have to wait for the former first lady to give us the go-ahead as to when we can launch the book. Yeah. Because the launch was going to be done at State House. That was the initial plan. So whether we will still go on with the plans. And so I went to see Monica a couple of weeks ago. We discussed the modalities around the launch. So I'm sure the book will be on the shelves before Christmas, definitely. This done and dusted. We printed some few dummy copies. I mean, it looks lekker, man.
Okay, we are all looking forward to that particular book. It's rich in terms of Namibian history when it comes to football. There are a couple of pictures that will excite you, and there are quite a couple of interesting stories. Tell us about the best players that you played alongside. Who would you, if you had to name 5 of them, who are they? Namibians.
I played with a boy called Forrester Nicodemus. He was very young when he started playing with me. He was 14 years old. I've never seen such a player. That boy, they couldn't, I mean, they were trying to bum him off the ball. He was just dribbling, falling, you know. That guy, and he could finish. He was a clinical finisher. He could dribble, he could shoot as well with both feet. I played with Oscar Mango, one of the greatest. He was very intelligent. And I played with a guy called Belly Twaepa. He passed away from COVID. That guy, he was a genius. He was a football genius. He had everything, great ball control, was strong. I played with a lot of guys. There's a guy like Doc Naubeb. I played with him at African Stars. A lot of people don't talk a lot about him, but he was very intelligent, very strong, because he went to Germany. He was also in the music industry, playing trumpet in the church. The church went sent him up there. And then I think he learned some tricks there. When he came back from Germany, he was playing totally different football. But the guy that I really think was a great player that I played with, and he's underrated, people don't talk about him, is a guy called Emmanuel Kamusarando. He was playing on both wings. For me, that guy was a clinical finisher. He could shoot with both feet. He was fast. He could dribble. He had very great ball control. And he was a match winner. He would score goals out of nothing. And of course, then we had a goalkeeper called Jiva. For me, in my opinion, he was one of the greatest goalkeepers to ever have played the game.
I'd asked for 5 from you. You gave me 6, which is fine. Now, which one of the 5 top Namibian players have you watched during your time? Not those that you played with, but those that you watched when, you watched when you were a journalist.
Before that?
No.
Now as a journalist.
Yeah.
There were a few white guys. There were guys like Bobby Craddock, a guy like Siggy Anderson, and we had great players like a guy like Tinesh for me, Tinesh Iyambo. That guy was a baller, man. That guy made people to watch football. You will just want him to get the ball, man. Even if the ball is with other players, you want him to give the ball to him. Another guy I really liked was Quinton Jacobs. I really loved the way he played football, man. And there was also another boy, Patrick Jager. I really loved him. Then we also had another guy, was a South African, Smutla Masit. He went back to Joburg. I'm still in contact with him. Those were the guys that really make you to love football. You want to watch football. You want to stay there and watch football. They play football the way the game should be played. We had very, very good players. We had David Snever, we had Lucky Bostander. We had great players. When we had another guy was called Orlando Damasip from Tsumeb. Great players. We had many great players. Mohamed Osip. You name them.
Mohamed Osep is now assistant coach at Blue Boys with Ali Akan. They'll be taking the team through the Premier League, the Namibia Premier Football League this season. You not only played football, you're also a match official.
Yes.
What were the challenges there?
I was a referee. No, I had some couple of scary moments, man.
Tell us those stories.
It was during the time of when this Rowo thing, maybe you heard about the Rowo.
Yes.
But for some reason, those guys, they were the ones actually protecting me. Because I was friends with Pena, one of the guys there. I was very good friends with the guys there in the Wambo location. So I had some scary moments, but not really serious moments. But in those days, the teams disputed everything. Not actually the players, but the crowd. They were not happy. They would throw stones, or they were waiting for you at the gate there to give you a bit of penal beating when the team lost. But it was fun. But then I have to give up refereeing when I became a journalist. So they said, no, you cannot, because it was going to be conflict of interest.
Looking at the administration of football in the country, you have seen quite a number, all of them, in fact, all the administrations that have come into Namibian football from before independence, and after independence. Take us through the administration of football in this country.
I think it can be attributed to lack of knowledge and expertise when we started football, because it's integration. It's not like a lot of people say we are readmitted. We're not readmitted. We're never there before. So we only admitted. We came into FIFA as a new kid on the block. So you have to learn the ropes. So there were a lot of struggles, and the money that was pumping in as well was not enough as well, sufficient. So people made mistakes because you're new in the job. You have to learn about things. And then we were lucky that not long before that, after that, we got a guy like Peter Damaso.
Yeah.
I mean, we know administration-wise, he turned a lot of things around, financial accountability, audited financial reports, and all these things. And so he laid the foundation for good administration. And I think then came John Muñoz as well. He did fairly well as well. He did well. And then the other guys came. And it was not, and I don't, you see, sometimes people blame the president, I mean, you had guidelines there. I don't know why they always blame the president as he is the one who's taking the decisions alone. You have executive committees there. And sometimes when the guidelines are not, I don't know whether you have to blame the secretariat or a lot of things are not going well, but fingers are always just pointed at the president. I think we're pointing the fingers at the wrong person.
He's not the one who's making decisions.
He's not the one who's making decisions. No. It's not. Unless he does, but then which is wrong. Because you are guided by guidelines. Yeah. There are guidelines that are. But,
so are you saying our guidelines are wrong at this moment because we've seen quite a lot of things going wrong? We have had 2 normalization committees.
Yeah.
That should say a lot.
Of course, it says a lot. Those things just came in because of when people gang up. When I notice a problem, when I spot the problem within an organization, I say, listen guys, let's sit around the table. Let us discuss this. I'm not happy about this and this. But the moment we start ganging up, the moment people start building cartels, then you're going to have a problem. People will sinister moves. I don't want football to change. I want my brother to be in charge. It's not for the betterment of football. I want people that are close to me, where I probably can also benefit financially or in one way or the other. So we had a lot of things that are going wrong in this country. And I say we start off, if we really want to straighten our football, we have to really look at the structure, the league structure. This thing of playing double headers, this thing of 16 teams for a country of our population is not working. That's why if you look at the quality of the teams, they are not at the same quality. That's why it's found most of the time the teams got promoted 2-3 years or 1 year, they got demoted again. So we must trim down the league. We must trim down the league, or either play. We can have teams play in, let's say, in a certain region which is closer to each other. Can you now imagine a team traveling from Rundu to Karasburg? Kupatos will have to go and play young Brazilians in Karasburg by road. Imagine, I mean, the body needs a certain amount of time to rest. So you're traveling, sitting in a car, even when you're sleeping, that's not conducive. And go and play a match. So we have to find a way to reduce the teams. Cut the teams down either to 12 teams, let them just play one match. This thing of playing Saturday and Sundays, it's killing football. I mean, if you go and watch the same team on Saturday, the team that played on Saturday, the same team playing on Sunday, it's totally different because the guys, there's no stamina anymore, there's no energy.
They're tired.
Yes, they're tired. So we have to change the whole, we have to sit down and really work out the structure. Maybe get the teams from a certain stream, play together, then in the final stage, I mean, it's done. In other countries, even in Nigeria, they were doing it. So when you have those long distances, then you take probably the top 3 or top 4 teams from each region, and then they play out to determine the overall champions. for the benefit of football. What is happening now is not benefiting football. It's draining the pockets of the teams as well, traveling and all these things.
Have you ever considered to become sort of an NFA president or EXCO member or NPFL? Have you ever thought about that?
Never.
But with your knowledge and your skills, do you think you would add value?
No, never. Probably, I can probably advise, but I will never want to be an executive member or any member.
Why?
No, I just don't. I see the fights and I see the politics that goes in. I mean, I've been in this game for a long time, and I have a lot of backstabbers. It's all about money. Let me tell you, to be quite honest with you, we never had these problems before this FIFA started pumping in a lot of money into football. People are not eyeing positions for the betterment of football. It's to better themselves. I'm being honest.
So it's for their pockets?
Yes, exactly. It's exactly. People want to line their own pockets. It's not that they will get the money illegally, but you are in a system where you can make money. Why not? You understand what I mean? Yeah. So if I know that if I go there, I will get a salary of 1.5 million or whatever, it's a lot of money.
So you don't want that 1.5 million?
No, no. Who doesn't want money? I don't. I don't want fights. No, it's not my nature. I don't quarrels and those toxic environments. I don't like it. I'm not that kind of person. We can sit around the table and discuss and iron out our problems, but there's too much bickering in football. And that one, and then you look at the NFA now, you find people, so and so is suspended, that guy has done this and that done this. The organization has to pay now 4.7 million for the former SG. And then this is what happened. When people are not being taken to task, if procedures are not followed, you're going to have problems like that. How do you fire somebody without a hearing? You tell me. And those people, some of them are still there. I'm not talking about executive. There are people who are sitting there, but people who are sitting there in the HR. And these people are not taken to task. That's a public institution. It's not like a private company. When these things happen, when we talk about these things and people say you are jealous, people won't talk because I like you are there now. But if it was somebody else they don't talk, they don't like, then they will talk about it. With somebody which is closer to them, no, they turn a blind eye to things. These things should not be happening. 4.7 million that goes down the drain.
And somebody is still not held accountable for that?
Yes, nobody's held. Yeah.
Okay, CK, when it's all said and done, what is your wish for Namibian football going forward?
I really want Namibian football to flourish. I want Namibian football to become fully fledged professional. It's long overdue. People say, no, the players are getting paid. These guys are getting peanut. And even our status is not professional. We need to professionalize the setup, the whole setup, where players will get signing on fees, where players will earn proper salaries. Look, our players are playing in Botswana. That is something that really pains me. That we've been overtaken by Botswana. We have our players, the majority of our players are making a living in Botswana. It tells you the way where we are with our football. If they were playing in South Africa, I understand. Even if they're playing in the second division in South Africa, but playing in Botswana, even if the players are playing in Zambia or Zimbabwe, that's fine. But the majority are playing in Botswana. What is it that Botswana is doing that we cannot do?
And why can't we do it?
We need to revisit the whole system and ask ourselves, are we fine? Are we happy with it that our players are playing in Botswana? It's not only about money. Is there any improvement? Is that league going to improve our players? No, definitely not. I'm being honest. If you look at our players that are playing in South Africa, Rian Hanamup, Peter Salolite, John Otto, I'm being honest with you. Those players in our league, they were average. Not average, but they were not the best players in our league, in our domestic league. Rian Hanamup, was showing some flashes of them. His prospect is promising. But it shows the quality that we have in Namibia. We have a lot of great players here. It's not the others have not got that chance to go and play to get exposed to that. But we have the talent here. All our players are the best in that league, in the South African league. The best players there are Namibians. Not only now from Mohamed Oseb, Ricardo Manetti, Robert, and Dudas Bodihanga. He won how many Man of the Match awards there?
And we captained Amazulu, we captained
Platinum
Stars, he captained the University of Pretoria team.
Exactly. So that's an achievement, and people don't look at these things. So we have the talent here, so how do we handle, how do we nurture that talent, how do we protect that talent? That's what we must do.
CK, thank you very much for taking your time and being with us here. We really appreciate, and we are looking forward to the book. Please do make sure that you get a copy of yourself.
By end of this month or next month early, it will definitely be on the shelves.
Yes. So please make sure that you go and support that particular. In fact, you are not supporting, you are informing yourself, you are educating yourself. If you're a football fan, you must definitely buy that particular book. I'm telling you, the stories that are there are sort of top-class stories, well written by veteran journalist, multiple award-winning journalist, Carlos Kambaekua CK. Thank you very much for bringing yourself here. Yeah, we hope that next time when we have you here, we'll be talking different stories. It is the end of the second edition, the second episode of the second season of Game Time with Marco. We'll be back again next time with a different episode. Bye-bye.